did the Lions, Danny, solidify their case as the scariest team in the NFC? And I don't know if we all agree that they were the scariest, but we're going to go with it.
Yeah, I think they clearly are the scariest team in the NFC. I mean, Philly obviously they're the champs, so if you want to give them that sort of benefit of the doubt, that's fine. But we know what the Lions' offense is, right? Since they went into Arrowhead on Banner Night a couple of years ago, the Lions are number one in many statistical categories offensively. Like we know what I think we all agree, the Lions' offense is potent. The thing that they've now done a couple of times this year is shock me defensively. Like what they did against the Ravens and Lamar was shocking. And last night, I didn't think that it was possible that Baker Mayfield could throw 50 times in a game and have 200-something passing yards and 1 touchdown. Like, I kept saying last year that we were on a collision course between Philly and Detroit for the NFC title game. And then everyone got hurt on Detroit's defense. So I felt like we were robbed of the game we were supposed to see on the NFC side of the bracket because, and we can show it, their defense collapsed down the stretch because of injuries. That was the last 7 games for the Lions defense last year. The first 7 games of this year, their defense is good. Now, it's opportunistic. They play from out in front and then they get after you. But that's a formula that Peyton Manning's Colts won 13 games a year on. So I think the team is just constructed in a really smart way that if the Lions have a good defense, they're one of the best teams in football, if not the best team in football.
First of all, you love making Peyton Manning comparisons.
I do. Listen, I got a real hot Peyton Manning take that we can unveil in the summer. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's closer than people think.
No,
all Detroit proved is that what I felt, Tampa Bay is not in that upper tier in the NFC. They're slightly below the upper tier.
Yeah.
And that Detroit is in the upper tier. But I don't see why you would think, now they could win the NFC, but I don't know why you would automatically think, oh, they're better than Green Bay, because since that offense has been rolling the last few years, Green Bay shut it down. I get it. The Packers aren't really playing that well now, but they're still winning.
Packers are oddly the 1 seed, though, right now, which is
they are the 1 seed.
It doesn't feel like they should be.
That's where a tie is. Everybody gets mad about a tie. It's better than a loss. Philadelphia, look, the only reason I think you would, and I get it, they had their little 2 weeks, and they're always seemingly on the cusp of something happening. But I think the only reason you would put Detroit ahead of them is if you just feel like it's tough to repeat or even get back to the Super Bowl. So they're as good as they may be, they're not getting back most likely. And then I think you throw the Rams in there as well. And, you know, you've always liked the Rams. I have been questionable about them because I thought Stafford in the preseason, that was, you know, ominous or something. But he's playing great. Yeah. And they don't even have Puka Nacua right now, and their defense is good too. So I think they're right there with those other 3 teams, but I don't see why you would necessarily put them ahead of them.
I also don't know that this is the same Lions offense as the last couple of years because it's not the same Lions offensive line. And they've played 2 excellent defenses, and both of those defenses the Packers truly shut them down, and the Chiefs slowed them down substantially. I think the Lions probably played a little better than their points in the Chiefs game suggest.
Exactly.
But they didn't. But it wasn't prolific.
No.
And the Bucs, by the way, last night, Gibbs had the 80-yard run. The Bucs, I think, have some. If they are frustrated with some of the officiating, I get it. The Lions were better yesterday, but I didn't watch yesterday and say, oh, the Lions' offense, you know, is the offense that it looked like it was briefly after the Packer game when they scored. They are the best team in the league at running up the score on bad teams. They were that last year. They are that this year. They love that. But I also think it's a little revisionist, and you're not the only person that's done this, that says, Lions last year, they just got too hurt. They lost that playoff game because their quarterback melted down. That was not just
Goff was 45-31.
Goff turned the ball over 4 times.
Okay, but
Goff turned the ball over 4 times. Well, in my opinion, that was a offense and defense loss in that playoff game. And I don't know if Goff turned it over 4 times or they turned it over 4 times. Because they also, with the season on the line, they had Jamison Williams throw a pass. They did a lot of goofy stuff in that game. I don't know why they're scarier than the Rams. And the Rams, by the way, aren't my pick. Like, my pick is Tampa. It's very hard today, this moment, to say Tampa's scariest. They just got beat soundly. But the Rams, to me, have a better defense than Detroit. They have a quarterback that is better than Detroit's. And while the weapons are, when healthy, a tick below, but I think still Puka is, yeah, right. I mean, Puka's exceptional. Devontae's really good. And I am a little anxious about Goff's skittishness behind this not as dominant offensive line when he's played good defenses. And I think that's fair. Like, the Lions, it feels, and I love Dan Campbell, but I also love Sean McVay. The Lions, it feels to me a lot like the Lions each of the last couple years, which are overwhelming against bad teams and good against good teams, but it doesn't make them the scariest team in the NFL.
Do you think it's fair to say, because the offense is definitely very good, the only time they've looked phenomenal was against the Bears?
That is definitely
like the Ben Johnson type offense, you know, that we saw last year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that the Lions' offense is still very, very good, and they're figuring out their offensive line that I expect to get better. But like kind of how you were talking about the Bucs, you think they're going to be the 1 seed? Detroit's formula, like that game last night, their defense was powered by their home crowd and the noise and feasting off of it. Their defense is the second best in the NFL points allowed at home. First in terms of passer rating allowed at home. Like if they get to play in a dome on a fast track with Gibbs, with Jameson Williams, with their speed, and then tee off with Aiden Hutchinson, like the formula of how they are built to succeed in that building, I just think I have the fewest questions about them compared to the other NFC teams that all have questions.
Yeah, that's just, I guess it's just, I mean, they were the 1 seed last year, and they lost their first playoff game to a rookie quarterback, and I don't know if we can show, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I'm just saying like that team, yes, won 15 games and beat the Vikings in Week 18, but that team, no one thought that team as the 1 seed was going to win the Super Bowl last year because of all the injuries that they had on defense. Nobody believed in that team at that time.
They might not have believed in them to win the Super Bowl. They certainly believed in them that they were going to win that first home playoff game when they were big favorites and they got clocked.
That was a bad loss.
I don't know if we, Christina, have time to show their schedule just quickly. I would agree with you that going to Detroit, if they get the 1 seed again, seems ominous. I don't think that is the path of a 1 seed. When I look at that schedule and I say they've already had a tough schedule, but what they did have going for them was the easiest games on their schedule, quote unquote, they've already played them. They don't play a single team left that we're saying, okay, it's just one of the teams that's scouting college quarterbacks already.
I'll be pretty shocked if they lose at home to Minnesota out of the bye.
Well, sure, but would you be shocked if they lose on the road to Minnesota? Like that's a divisional game. The Giants game is the easiest one left, and we'll see what they look like there. But everyone they play is live, and so I think they are far more likely to finish 11-6 than 13-4, and 11-6 won't be the one.
So do we all have different NFC? Like I have the Lions coming out of the NFC. You have the Bucs coming out of the NFC.
Eagles, Packers.
Wow.
Yeah. We all have
no agreement in the NFC.
Yeah.
Wide open league. Could have been Danny's dozen, but we're staying with Top 10 Tuesday. Making their debut, the San Francisco 49ers, atop the NFC West, and it's all because of Christian McCaffrey. No Fred Warner, no problem. No $250 million quarterback, no problem. Christian McCaffrey is on pace for just under 2,400 scrimmage yards. It's the best start for any player since Derrick Henry in 2021.
Danny, would you say he's been a top 3 back this year?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
I would say that. yeah. Him and.
I don't care who the other ones are.
Been a lot of
just
good
as long as he's in the top 3. It was a big point of contention.
I look at running.
He's
not
not counting the receiving yards.
Top 3 yards.
I'll carry. I'll give you that.
Running.
Sure. Coming in at number 9, you mentioned it, Nick. The Green Bay Packers staying exactly where they were from last week. I can't really bump you up after that weird game against Arizona, even though Micah Parsons was incredible. They would be the 1 seed if it ended today. But, look at it. They feel like the 8th or 9th best team. 9th in point differential, 7th in yards differential, 10th in opponents' points per game. They're very good. And their ceiling is very, very high. But they're not consistent. They can't put it together. Maybe in a few weeks we can revisit. Actually, we'll revisit it every Tuesday.
Yeah.
But for now, they're staying at number 9. Coming in at number 8, Nick's team, the Rams. Also holding serve. They blew out the Jaguars. Nick's just like the Jaguars a lot more than I did. And I do think there's a legitimate case that they should be higher. They're the only team in the NFL with a quarterback who's top 5 in touchdowns and a defense that's top 5 in points allowed. Signature wins still coming
It's your list.
for the Rams.
If they should be higher, make them higher. It's maybe a legitimate case.
The committee.
You can't even blame a committee. You're in an office by yourself.
You know how many personalities there are up here. Okay, I was arguing with myself for a long time. Number 7, the Bucs. That's a rough performance with rough injuries from them last night. I was shocked, like I said, that they were held to single digit with points. And Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are. You also are the company you keep. And now that their point differential is negative for the season, these are the teams that they're just in front of in terms of point differential. Cardinals, Bears, Panthers, Jaguars, oh my. You beat Atlanta by 3, Houston by 1, and the Jets by 2.
That's 4 number 1 overall. 5, those, can you put that back up? All 5 quarterbacks were number 1 picks. That's crazy.
All have
Baker,
points
Kyler, Caleb, Bryce, Trevor. I mean, that's weird. Maybe you didn't have to put that back up. It just struck me as odd. I don't even know what it means. It's just crazy that they were all number 1 overall pick. Just something. Who knows?
Hey,
All right, go ahead.
something or nothing.
What,
Yeah.
3 Heisman trophies?
Yeah.
Feels more like nothing. Coming in at number 6. After another impressive game, the Colts continue to move up. Time for our insane Colts stat of the day. This is ridiculous. 33 or more points scored with 5 or fewer turnovers through 7 games. The 15 Patriots that started 10-0 and finished 12-4, last year's Lions and this year's Colts. It's a pretty good formula to score a ton of points and never give the ball to the other team.
Not make the Super Bowl like those other teams.
Right. I was like,
okay, fine. But in terms of how they're
have a
starting,
good regular season.
They are. Well, it is a regular season win. A lot of critics today.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 5, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Nick scoffed last week when I picked Seattle, 3-0 by the way, against Houston for saying that I thought the Seahawks had a better defense than the Texans. The Seahawks were able to win that game by 8 points with 4 giveaways. McDonald, very impressive. Jackson Smith and Jigba, legitimate superstar. Dark horse candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. Maybe we'll watch it. I'm just continually very impressed with, if they can win that game against that team with their C- effort, they're a very scary
For the record,
team.
I also had Seattle -3. I just didn't think they had the better defense in the game.
Well, you were wrong about a couple of things this week. 1-2, 3-0. We'll get the picks later in the week. And now this is picks, or it's Top 10 Tuesday. It's not tiers, but this is the benefit of the doubt tier. We begin at number 4 with the Eagles. Listen, Jalen Hurts proved something to me. Best passing game, arguably, of his career. Can't have a better passer rating than he obviously had against the tough Minnesota defense. But that's the reason why teams up here are going to just get the benefit of the doubt. You were a Super Bowl champ last year. You were dominant last year. It was a 2-game blip. It wasn't a supernatural funk. It was just a weird 2 games, and now I think the Eagles are back to being scary. Coming in at number 3, my Super Bowl pick, the Buffalo Bills.
Moved up in a bye week. Wow.
It's a league filled of parity and mediocrity, and I will say this. I am applying the same logic to the Bills that I applied to the Eagles. I'm assuming weird 2 weeks, not all of a sudden they're bad. Because last 2 weeks for the Bills, bad. Last 38 games for the Bills, last 78 games for the Bills have been really good, and we can show it to you. I am choosing to believe that the Bills team that we have seen over the last, 3 years is actually the team that we're going to continue to see. Believe me or not, I can show it to you later. Coming in at number 2.
Thank you for omitting that.
Not the same either. The last 78
right here.
games.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Wild said to me before the show, he's like, I want to see your Bills graphic other than just I believe they're good.
Yeah.
So we cooked up a Bills graphic, and then we
They were good 3 years ago.
And last year, and the year before. And don't worry, no, last week they were not. They were on a bye. They dominated
Didn't
the
lose,
vacation.
though.
The Lions coming in at number 2. We just talked about it off the top of the show. I think if their defense is, even if they're just great at home, they're going to play a lot of home games. And a defense that is average to above average with what I believe their offense is, which is the scariest in the NFL. The Lions come in at number 2. But yes, of course, Nick, once again, your Kansas City Chiefs at number 1.
Doesn't even need explanation.
It really doesn't.
They're just the best.
They are the best, and they get the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise.
Danny
Chiefs
has
at number
gone
1.
from the Chiefs might not make the playoffs.
I know.
That's not what
So,
I
like,
ever said.
it's
Oh,
no
I mean,
explanation.
you
We can
flirted
run-
with it.
No,
you
we can run
flirted
the
with
tape.
it. It was if they
Right.
was if they lose to the Giants, they might miss the playoffs, and they could lose to the Giants because Russell Wilson might outperform Patrick Mahomes. All those things happened. All those things happened.
Those things did happen.
Okay.
And we agreed that it was like a math equation. They were losses can pile up early.
Yeah,
Things
okay,
can get problematic. They
Drew,
won.
what's your
Chiefs
big
are back.
surprise?
All right, look. When I first
Perfect
looked
list.
at this list, and this probably happened to you, Nick, too. When I saw the Niners at 10, I was like, wait, what? And I get it, the record is good and everything, but with the injuries, Mac Jones struggling lately.
He's not.
He just had one bad game.
He didn't have a bad
Three
game.
interceptions and no touchdowns last two games. I'm just saying, but they're winning. They're winning. Look, but I looked at the rest of the league. I was like, wait a minute. The Niners, 10? And I looked through the stand and I was like, as you said, it is a league full of mediocrity and bad play right now. And so I assume, and I'll apologize, I will take this back if these are the standings.
They're not the standings.
These are not the standings.
Well, I think the 10 best
these were
teams are.
standings. So the record shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter.
Give me the Ravens
No.
at number 10 instead of San Francisco.
No.
The Ravens with Lamar Jackson are number 10. I looked at all the teams. I'm like, man, with Lamar, with the defense holding the Rams to 17 points, the same Rams teams that ran roughshod over Jacksonville.
Wow.
I'm counting on him being back. They took the toys out of the building. It's all about seriousness now, resurrecting this team, saving this season. Ravens number 10.
Okay.
I told you I was going to shock you.
Yeah, you shocked me.
I don't hate it.
You don't hate it. I mean, I'll just say this, Brew. The Bears are going to end your team's season.
No,
That
no.
is a big game.
It's a huge game.
That's
but
like FTF OT Bowl. It is. Bears Ravens.
I like it. Your team has the same number
they
of
do
wins
need
as
to win
the
that game.
Titans.
Yeah, no,
And
they
the
need to
Saints.
win that game.
I mean, that,
They
the
need
Dolphins-
to win
that
game.
is
Not
the
great.
neighborhood they live in.
But
right now.
can we? But y'all gotta admit this, and I get it. They're
That those
1 in
teams
5,
have better
1 in
defenses,
6,
I-
whatever they are. But here's the thing: Chiefs,
Yeah.
Lions. Who is the other team? The Bills.
Bills.
Those are three.
Yeah.
Those are your top 3 teams.
They are
so
my
the
top
Ravens
good
lost to them
Ram-
with Lamar.
and for the
I mean,
record, and one of them's Rams. Okay. All right, I'll go
Yeah.
quick because I know KW's got a good one. Because it's not the standings, I feel like people would be totally fine saying the Colts are good, but they're not great if they were 5-2 instead of 6-1. And I don't think they're better than the Patriots. So I think I would put the Patriots, I would reorder a bit of it because I'd have Tampa higher and the Rams higher. But if I have to, I'm with you on what the Niners have earned and what they've done. I would remove the Colts and put the Patriots in the top 10 because
You're taking
the Colts
out.
aren't even top 10.
I am putting the Pats in, and the only team that's on there the team I feel most comfortable removing is not the Packers or the Niners or the Rams or the Bucks. It's the Colts. I do not believe the Colts' path of having literally the greatest offense in the last 30 years of the NFL is going to sustain. And I think the Patriots have a more sustainable model and one I've seen work, which is soft schedule, superstar quarterback making a leap in year 2. I think the Patriots, right now if the Patriots played the Colts, I'd pick the Patriots. So that's my
I would
take.
as well. I'm going to talk about the Bills.
All right.
The Bills aren't who you think they are. The Bills, talk about the Bills and tell me what the Bills have done this year, that makes you think they're the 3rd best team. They beat the Ravens on opening night.
Yep.
But the Ravens are not that good, and we know that now. And every other opening night game, we're like, Lions, Packers, Chargers, Chiefs, just weird stuff happens. But
Raiders, Pats.
Raiders, Patriots, that's an excellent one. They haven't won a game against a team that has won 2 games. They beat the Ravens opening night, and it needed a lot of funny stuff to happen.
They beat the Jets.
They beat the
Dolphins.
Jets, who haven't won a game, might be the worst franchise in the league.
Dolphins and Saints.
Dolphins and the Saints. Then they lost 2 games and had an early bye. I don't like an early bye either. So they're going to come out of this and play Carolina with Andy Dalton. Would you be shocked if Okay.
Yes, I would be shocked. This is the last stand for the Bills in the top 3. If they lose to Carolina, I'll even make a pledge they can be out of the top 10 next week. Because you said something this year. I'm not going to tell you much about this year. But again,
It's just like if it's the benefit of the doubt, vibes, team.
Show the graphic.
This does include this year.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. They're good. It's been a weird 2 games. They're good. And they're great offensively.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I for whatever it's worth, what makes them great is they have a top 3 quarterback alive, and that makes you great. You have to have a truly institutional rot of talent, the way Cincinnati dealt with last year on defense, to have that level of quarterback play and not be really good.
Last year, Josh Allen had 6 interceptions in 17 games. He has 4 in his last 3 games.
Yeah, but you still think he's a top 3 quarterback, KW?
I think he's a very good quarterback. I'm just saying he's lost 2 consecutive games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Carolina.
Upset alert?
Perhaps.
Oh, preview.
Stay tuned on Friday.
Okay. So the question is more concerning performance from Darnold in the win or Stroud in the loss. And I got a lot of theories as to the why with C.J. Stroud. Like, I don't think it's all on him. He had an impressive rookie year, but I remember thinking at the time that we had overrated his rookie year a bit because it was just like, oh, he didn't turn the ball over, and then he got a playoff win against a bad team, and it was like a very solid rookie year, but I didn't think he was great. And now, partly because they got rid of Tunsil, partly because they can't run the ball, partly because of the offensive line, but partly because of him, C.J. Stroud looks broken to me. Like, he was bad last night, and he was inaccurate and fundamentally looked like a flawed player. And so we can remove last night if you want to because it was a weird game. Here is C.J. Stroud. He's played 38 games in his NFL career. Let's just look at his last full season body of work, his last 17 starts this year and last year. And it's just bad. Like, that is just not impressive in any way. And where that ranks, calendar year, guys who have made at least 10 starts in that period of time, this is a bottom 3rd quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think he's a bottom 3rd quarterback in the NFL, but I never bought the hype that he was a top 3rd, top 10 quarterback.
Your tape says you are.
Right. And so now the body of work for him is just weird. So I don't know where you guys came out on last night, but I think C.J. Stroud is broken.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Look, I was one of those that had him in the top 3rd of quarterbacks. I had him in top 5. To be honest, after his rookie year, I just thought he was going to be on that trajectory. And quite frankly, he's letting his team down. Period. There's no other way to look at it. I don't care who you don't have, because going into this season, you knew what you didn't have. You knew the receivers that you had in that locker room that was available. You knew the lack of offensive linemen that you had. And there was a sense of, you got to believe that you have to be the one that overcomes it. You have to be the eraser of what we don't have, because we're putting so much on your plate. And he just hasn't lived up to be that at all.
Yeah, I'm concerned because I'm with you, Danny. When you turn on tape, he's definitely regressed as a quarterback. He's struggling to understand what defenses are trying to do to him. Defenses are blitzing him early and often, and I got a graphic for you to show you real quick. Versus the Seahawks pressure last night, that's what he looked like, right? That's not good. But the bottom bar is where I'm with you with DP. You talk about he's 0-4 when pressure more than 30% of his dropbacks. Like, this season, that's who he is, 0-4. So when you talk about being a franchise quarterback, a guy that you have to depend on, a guy that's supposed to erase things on the field so you can be a better ball club, that's not him. And sure, you can point out what the offensive line is not doing. You can talk about the lack of receiving help. But right now, with C.J. Stroud on the field, the playbook looks shrunken. Right? It shrinks. And that can't be the case when you're considered QB1. And what's frustrating right now, and I don't know if Houston knows it, they're running out of time. They're running out of serious time, and I don't think they can fix it.
Yeah, and when you have a defense that is that good, I mean, they are amazing. You can't waste that type of a defense because you don't know how good they're going to be in years to come. The one thing that I feel like he can fix, and it's not a hard thing to do, that will help him out against pressure, because it's not like teams are going to stop pressuring him. you got to mix up your cadence at the line of scrimmage to help yourself out. Because if you can get the defense to show you something,
Give you the answers. Yeah.
you know the answers once the ball is snapped. And he's not doing that. He's not using his snap count to his advantage. And in year 3, you would think that's something that you would easily tell your quarterback.
But that goes back to what you said earlier about his first year. We were enamored the fact that he was able to do that early in his career, that he can anticipate what he needs to do with the football, be on time, get the ball out of his hands, and keep the offense on schedule, being a rookie. We're not seeing that right now.
No,
and so that's why you're concerned about what's happening with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, he looks lost out there. Meanwhile, across the Hudson, the Giants sitting with a fourth quarter collapse in Denver. They're trying to figure out what had happened. The Giants are now 2-5. They go to Philly on Sunday to face the Eagles yet again. All right, Mr. New York, you think Daboll lasts the year?
Listen, he was already walking the plank. Let's keep it a buck. I think what's interesting about the game Sunday, man, was it's the Broncos were able to erase 3 quarters of hard work in 15 minutes. And when you're Brian Daboll and your thing is being a quarterback whisperer or having that one playoff win in Minnesota, none of that matters right now. It's about the development of Jackson Dart and how you manage this team. This wasn't about bad luck. This was about mismanagement. And you're at the point, Brian Daboll being, where because of the record and because of how horrific that loss is, you're solely dependent on Jackson Dart. And with the team knowing you're in a hot seat, are the boys going to rally behind you? Or they're going to let the chips fall where they may and leave you if this thing gets ugly down the road. So he's in a weird spot. Does he last the season? Yes, because we've seen over time, firing a coach middle season doesn't do well, a la the Jets, right? It just unravels. They can't afford that. It was a bad loss. It was mismanagement on his part. It wasn't bad luck, but there's going to be some answers that need to be had at the end of the season.
Yeah, he makes it the season. You don't want to fire a head coach that your quarterback is leaning on. And you got to believe, there's a lot of things that he could do better. But the development of where Jackson Dart is and where he can end up being, pending what you do with this head coach, it matters right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is going to be the coach long term, because a lot of the things that we're seeing, he has to take accountability. I listened to that entire presser, and there's a lot of deflection. And I just need to know that you're accountable for everything. I don't care that somebody else is calling the plays. We get that. But we know you are a play caller and you are an offensive mind. And so when we see things that transpire in a game that we look at you like, what are you doing? Run the ball, or you know what I mean? Mismanagement of different things. Just own that, and then your team will follow that.
It would be malpractice to fire him in season. You can't do that to Jackson Dart.
No.
Once you make, because listen, I think starting a rookie quarterback with a coach who's on the hot seat and then firing that coach after the rookie year is already a huge setback to quarterbacks. I call that doing a Bears. They did it to Trubisky, they did it to Fields. It's just I've seen that story basically my entire life. You cannot do it. And so if you think Daboll's not the guy for Dart, fine, do it in the offseason and hit the reset on Dart, and it will be a setback. But do not make Jackson Dart between weeks 9 and 10 also learn a new coach and a new play caller and that whole thing. Daboll could blow 5 more games the rest of the year like they did against Denver, and I would not advocate firing him in season. Out of season, sure, but now your season's cooked. If he's the guy to turn Jackson Dart into Josh Allen, then Brian Daboll stays.
Yes.
Well, that's just kind of how it's going to work.
Well, this is the thing. I thought the Giants regressed when they let Wink Martindale go, because he was a guy who, Greg, there's always that one coach who's allowed in the player circle who say, hey, I know what upstairs saying, but this is how we really should operate, right? I had a coach like that in Russ Grimm before Mike Tomlin got hired, because he was one of the original Hogs. He's a Hall of Famer, played on the Washington Redskins offensive line. He was a guy that can go to a defense, go to an offense and say, hey, man, this is what we should be doing. This is how we should be playing. This is how we should be conducting ourselves. And when you lose those guys, now you got one guy to depend on. And when you're not efficient or competent at their job, now everybody goes tone deaf. So when you lose a key character like a Wink Martindale, and the guys love to see him talk and rally around him, that's a missing piece of that organization that they got to find the next guy up outside of Brian Daboll.
They got to find a lot of things. That's a loss that it would linger.
Yeah.
It lingers with the fan base, locker room. I know you guys are great at moving on. That's a loss that lingers.
It is. And when you listen to guys, even prior to these few losses, like I look at Malik Neighbors and some of the things that he said in some of his press conferences. When you suffer a loss like this, you start looking at everything. And when he was talking about it's not the quarterback, it's not the quarterback, it's not the – well, who is it then? And we
gotta be somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be somebody. And when you start to see the antics – and I'm calling them antics of your head coach, where he's going crazy on the sideline because he doesn't have players and his quarterback. You have to be the still, and he just doesn't seem to be that for this team right now.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.